Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Smith and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome. I'm so glad you found me. In today's crafting adventure, I have two Dollar Tree Halloween DIYs for you. Both are fun and easy to make. Let me show you how to make them. DIY number one is this beautiful framed trick-or-treat Halloween sign. To get started, you're going to need one of these framed pieces of artwork that you can get from Dollar Tree. They have about 3 different ones to choose from. Any one will do because we're going to switch it up. They come wrapped in plastic with a little bead hanger. They are a photo frame. So you want to go ahead and take apart your photo frame. So you can take the back out. Now we're going to be painting the frame here with the chalkboard black paint. And then I'm going to be painting the back of this with apple barrel granite gray. I just want a really nice light gray on the back. Now, depending on which picture frame you chose and which picture you're working with, it may take more than one coat to cover up the image, or you can always flip it over and just do it on the back. You make sure your paint is nice and even, and then you want to let that fully dry. And then if you need to add a second coat, go ahead and add a second coat. Ran into a little bit of trouble with the image. After I painted it, it just lifted right off. As you can see, most of it just came right off. To get the rest of this off, just take a damp towel, get that moist, and then take a paint scraper and just work on getting the rest of it off. You'll either want to remove the image first by doing it like this, or turn it over and use the back side, because the paper will lift when you paint it. Okay, so I'm going to work on getting that off and then getting that painted. I got both of my pieces painted and they're nice and dry. I think my chalkboard paint is getting old because it's really shiny and it was kind of thick. But it's still covered pretty good, so I'm happy with that. And this covered just fine now that I removed the paper, and I ended up just flipping it over and doing it on the back. Next, you're going to need some of these rub-on transfers that you can pick up from Dollar Tree. They have a couple different ones to choose from for Halloween. I'm going to be using these two. I want to use the trick or treat in this one and then some of the images in this one. Now, if you haven't used these in the past, I love them. They are wonderful. I just recently used them on a pumpkin, and I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not, but it came out beautifully. So this is what your sheet looks like, and it is a top sticky sheet on a shiny white background, okay? What you'll want to do is go in and cut out whatever images that you want to use. I really like the black cat here with the cauldron and the witch's broom on the side. So I want to start with that one. So go in and just trim out the image that you want to use. This will make it much easier to get it placed properly. And you always want to start with the largest images first. That way you make sure that you get those positioned properly. And I like that little bat there, so I'm going to keep him in there. So I really like that image. Okay, so I know I want to place that there. I'm going to take this guy out. On this one, I'm going to cut the trick or treat out. And I included all the little stars that were around the words trick or treat. So these are probably the two largest images that I'm going to use. So I'm just kind of working out my space right now. So I cut out a few more pieces. I cut out these 3 individual pumpkins. I think I'm going to work them in down here in this corner. And then I'm thinking about putting one of the ghosts up here. He seems a little bit big. He might be a little small, so I may end up going with some bats instead. But I want to make sure that I get these 2 down first before I place anything else. And 1/4 of an inch in from the edge, you're not going to be able to see because it's going to be behind the frame. So just keep that in mind when you're placing your decals. And all I'm going to use is a craft stick. Once you decide where you want to place them, just peel off the top layer. And it is slightly sticky, which is nice because you can easily get it placed then and it will hold when it's on a smooth surface. Okay, also it allows you to kind of pick it up and move it if you don't get it put down exactly right the first time. See, so you can rub it down and it will stick and hold. So this way you can really play with the placement before you rub everything on. I think of the pumpkins down here, I think I might want to kind of stack them together. 2 big ones in the back and this one in the front. I'm not going to put that one on until I get these 2 down. Okay, so I'm going to work on getting this down before I add anything else. And you, like I said, you just take your craft stick, start in one area and just gently rub and go over the image. I'll usually go over it one direction and then I go back over it in the other direction to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And it peels right off. And look at how beautiful the image is. Okay, I'm going to work on getting the rest of my images down and then I'll be back. I have all my little rub-ons on. I'm really happy with the result. I think it looks absolutely adorable. Now down here when I layered my pumpkins, I did one pumpkin and then I did the other one and then I layered the third one on the top. It's better if you just do one at a time. I tried to do the 2 bottom ones and I ended up removing some of one of the pumpkins by mistake. So it's best to do one at a time when you're trying to layer like that. But I'm really happy with that result. Now if you wanted to seal this, you could go over it with a coat of Mod Podge, but I'm not going to do that. I really like it the way that it looks now. I don't want any kind of sheen and I don't want to see any brush marks on top, so I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Put it back into my frame here. And there you go. Isn't that adorable? Quick and easy craft anyone can do. DIY number 2 is this festive trio of pumpkins. I wanted to display this pumpkin in a setting of 3. To get started, you're going to need one of these cute little wood boxes that you can find at Dollar Tree. I chose the ones with the pumpkins, and they have a little slide off back so that you can put in a little artificial tea light. Now I'm going to be doing 3 of these. I'm going to get a good coat of the apple barrel pumpkin orange on the outside. I'm not going to do the bottom, but I'm going to do all the way around, including the back. When I saw these little wood cutouts and little wood decor, I was so happy. I love it when Dollar Tree brings in new items for each season. It looks like one good coat is going to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my base coat done on all my pumpkins and let them dry, and then I'll be back and we can move forward. Once you get the outside of your pumpkin done, before it dries, you want to take the slat out, otherwise it will get painted and then stuck in there. And then you want to paint the inside black, and I've chosen the Craftwise chalkboard paint because I want it a flat black. That way when it slides back in, when you look in through the holes, you'll see the black in the background, and it'll make the face stand out more. Now I want to add a little bit of dimension to my pumpkin. So I've mixed a little bit of the harvest orange, which is a little darker than the pumpkin orange, and some nutmeg brown. I have a little bit more of a detailed brush. Then I'm just going to add some curved lines. Just do the best that you can. This is just to add a little bit of dimension to your pumpkin. Now, doesn't that look much better? He's looking more like a jack-o'-lantern. Now I'm only going to do that on the front. I'm not going to do that around the sides. I'm going to go ahead and get this done to my 3 pumpkins. Okay, so now I'm working on accentuating the cutout features here on my pumpkin. And I'm just using, again, some of the chalkboard paint in black. And I have a small detail brush. Just get a little bit of that paint on there. And you need your brush to be small enough so that you can actually put it inside the cutout. And then I'm just running it around the inside of the cutout to get most of the paint off. This will help accentuate and paint that little bit of the wood that's inside. And then I just take my brush and just slightly tap a little bit around the edge because I don't want it to be real clean. This is for Halloween, so I want it to be a little scary. And I find that that makes it look a little bit scary. So first get the paint on, go in, rub around all the edges so that they're covered with the black paint. And then just right around the edges with the tip of your brush, just tap a little bit to get some paint that comes out. So it looks just a little ragged, a little older, and a little rough, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to get that done on my 3 pumpkins. Doesn't that look cute? I love that. It makes the pumpkin look a little bit more creepy. Now we're going to add to that. And I'm going to go over it with my antique, Waverly Antique Wax. I really love this stuff. I'm using my favorite brush. You want something that's dry and uneven for the best results. We're doing the dry brush method. Just tap in some, tap off any excess, and then just lightly drag over your piece. Going in the same directions. You can go up and down or side to side, whichever way you want to go, but just keep it uniform. And work your way around your piece. And add as much or as little as you like. And if you haven't done this method very much and you don't feel comfortable with it, start on the sides or the back until it feels right to you, and then move to the face. And don't forget to do the top. Doesn't that make him look much more Halloween? I think it does. I'm really pleased with how my pumpkin came out. I think he's so cute and he looks very Halloween to me. Now for the stems, I just pulled out some little pieces of cut wood that I picked up from Dollar Tree. You can choose whatever one looks right to you. Go ahead and hot glue them on the top. And then I have some burlap leaves. Now these are of course too big for these little pumpkins, so I took one leaf and I went in and I cut out 3 little leaves, one for each pumpkin. And then off of the same burlap leaves, I took 3 wires. I'm going to use these as tendrils. So just take a pencil, start to wrap it. You don't want to do a really tight wrap, just slowly work your way as you move down the pencil. And then pull the pencil out. And then there's your tendril. Okay. So now that I have my stem on, I'm going to add just a small amount of this Spanish moss. Now I like the look of this, but you can use whatever moss you have. It doesn't have to be this kind. And I just kind of roll it together a little bit to have it come together. And then I'm just going to wrap it right around the stem, just like that, and hot glue it down. Just be careful, don't burn yourself. Go ahead and trim off anything that's a little too wild. And you want to make sure that you still have access here so you can lift up and get to your little tea light. So just keep that in mind as you're adding your moss. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add one of my leaves. And I want to add the leaf to one side, and I'm just going to glue it to the back of the stem here. You see, I just kind of nestled it down in there. And then I'm going to take my tendril and I'm going to pinch one end so it kind of comes together, and that's the end I'm going to glue. And I'm going to glue that on the other side of my stem. And then I just kind of bend my tendril over, just like that. And then I'm going to add a little jute cord bow. These are really easy to make. Now this one I'm going to do about 3 fingers, so I start with about 1 inch out and then loosely wrap around my 3 fingers, and I wrap about 6 times. Pull out on the other side and leave it about 1 inch. Pinch that in the middle, put another small piece, and tie that around the center of your bow. And then you can pull all the tails down. Fluff out the little loops if you want. Then I'm going to go ahead and hot glue that onto the stem. And there you go, we're all done. I'm really pleased with how they turned out. They're very rustic and have just the right amount of creep factor for Halloween. If you want, you can always put a tea light inside or some of the fairy lights, whichever you prefer. How fun and easy it is to make my trio of pumpkins and my spooky trick-or-treat Halloween sign. If you enjoy hauls, crafts, and learning new craft techniques, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I do upload new content every week. And if you hit the notification bell when it pops up, you'll be the first to know every time I upload new content. Here are a few more of my other videos. Make sure to take time to check them out. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.